Hey, everybody. I didn't scream at y'all today.
No, you didn't. I was telling Andrew to mute your mic,
I was
too.
thinking about
he wasn't
it.
getting
Mute
it.
it.
I was like,
I thought you said boost his mic.
No!
That's literally what I did.
Good, because I was kind of whispering.
That's the last thing I want to do is boost this
I
mic.
thought it was going to be funnier because I was just like,
I was like,
I thought it was going to be funnier if it just
What?
completely obliterated us
Well, hey, friends.
and the listener.
Welcome to another episode of How to Be a Texan. How are you guys?
I'm doing good.
Andrew, how you doing?
Pretty good.
We had to wait for that.
Well, I was trying to think of something funny to say.
If this were on video, that would have been funny because of your face, but
yeah.
Yeah.
it just seemed like
And I was trying to think of something funny to say, but it ended up not being funny at all. And
It's
a
all
complete
funny.
failure.
Just remember what Seinfeld said.
Oh, gosh.
A good comedian says funny things. A great comedian says things funny.
Okay.
Just think about that for a minute.
I do have to think about that for just a little bit. Is that a play on words?
Let's have a moment
A moment of silence.
To think about that for a second.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, welcome to episode 50.
Fiddy.
So this is Kevin and I, my 50th episode, and thank you, Andrew, for guiding us through the whole process. So, no problem. So Kevin and I just thought we would kind of recap some funny learnings and observations over our first 50 episodes. So we only have this is a recap episode, and so we really don't have a topic other than laughing at ourselves over the first 49 episodes.
And there's a lot to laugh about.
There is. Like, we just played a few of the very first ones, and they were terrible. It's amazing what you learn, right?
Yes, it is.
And it's amazing how you evolve and learn and whatever, because it's not like you and I are professional broadcasters, right?
We are obviously not. It's very obvious.
No. And I tell people still ask me, they're like, what do you do on your show? And I'm like, well, my buddy Kevin and I, we basically just try to make each other giggle. That's about all we try to do the whole time. And we generally succeed
and
wildly.
embarrass each other.
Yeah. And I'm okay with all that.
And draw each other off sides.
Yes.
That's a good
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot about that. But Kevin gets me every episode when he thinks I'm going out of bounds with not talking about Texas.
There was even this viral cat meme the other day going around the internet.
You sent that to me. It was like the Chicago fire.
Today's How to Be the Texan episode is about the 1809 Chicago World's Fair.
And then that's from the drunk,
cat, yeah.
the drunk blonde lady.
The drunk blonde lady, and the cat's like, that has nothing to do with being a Texan.
That's what I feel like every time. The Chicago fire was interesting. We should talk about that at some point.
Has nothing to do with being a Texan.
I agree. So I don't really have a great outline. Kevin, you made a great outline. So why don't you guide us through?
According
and
to
just giggle.
I mean, your hot sports opinion before the show, this is the first time I've created an outline.
This is the first time ever that I've seen it. Kevin was texting me this weekend, and I was sitting in the deer blind, and I see this long text from Kevin, and he sent me an outline for what we should talk about today. And I'm like, well, there's a first for everything, baby.
Yeah.
So, whatever. It was awesome.
I even came with the title, Fiddy. Remember that old man from the...
Oh, yeah.
I don't have that clip. I was just looking. I lost that somehow.
Old County Line barbecue restaurants. Yeah. And they play it in the bathroom all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this old guy, and he's speaking Texan. Mm-hmm. And then a woman will come behind it and say, here's what he said. And then he says it in Texan.
And I have all those clips except for Fiddy for some reason. I'll have to go get it.
Oh,
because I remember what the lady says. What number comes after 49? And then the old man's like, Fiddy.
That's right. Well, this is episode 50.
This is the old man. This is another clip. Northern. Here's the full Northern.
I sure am thirsty. I believe I'll have another.
Oh, yeah. So great. Well, that was episode 2 where we went back.
Was that 2? No, that was...
Where we tried to translate Texan?
That was number 4.
Number 4?
How to speak Texan was number 4.
Okay,
yep.
4. Okay. So Yeah, but going back to the very, very first one, because I listened to, I don't know, half of it today as I was driving around. That's about all I could get through. So if you're just starting with this, I am not going to encourage you to go back and listen from the beginning.
Skip to, maybe How to Speak Texan.
Well, that was okay.
You know what we should do? I can pull up the numbers at the end, and I'll rank them by the most downloads.
Yeah.
Because that'll kind of give people a guide as to where to start.
Is Von Erich's number one?
It's up there. It's like 4 or 5.
You're kidding.
No,
I was
I'm
totally
not.
kidding.
It's up there.
That's one of my favorite ones because I think I was such a huge fan of the Von Erichs when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. But I thought the Deadliest Animals was probably the top one.
I'll pull that down real quick if I had prepared.
But whatever. Anyway, let's recap number one because number one, first of all, Andrew, thank you for the whole time. You've been an excellent producer.
Andrew is amazing.
You're amazing.
I'm okay.
No. Don't
No,
you
thank
say
you.
that.
Thank
Don't
you.
you say that.
I'm okay.
Thank you.
Freaking amazing. And he always tells me, Kyle, put your mic here and whatever and talking. I just listen to that first one and I mumble. I'm talking basically 3 feet away from the mic the whole time. And you could just tell I've sounded like an idiot.
Mic technique makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all, and I have noticed something, Kevin, that as I've listened to him, because I've listened to all 50 or 49 of them, and it's funny listening to yourself. You always think you sound awful, which I do. I know I sound awful, but the funny thing is,
You have a great radio voice.
Yeah, you do.
but the funny thing is if I'm confident of the material, I speak louder and more confidently.
Yep.
If I don't know what I'm talking about, I truly don't, or I'm talking about myself. Like Kevin, you in the first one, you're like, well, Kyle, describe yourself and your family and all that. Well, I think I'm fairly humble and I don't want to brag about myself a lot. So I kind of mumbled through the whole thing. You can't even understand it. It's inaudible. It's like I'm speaking another language.
It's great podcast material.
It's terrible. So the first one is just awful. And then it's like we picked up steam a little bit. And I think Andrew kind of coached us and guided us like, hey, get the mic a little closer, talk on. And then the other funny thing is that we finally got Andrew and Sammy the Laugh Track to actually be on mic with us because we had these long rants of Andrew would tell us a story or Sammy would tell us a story, and we can't hear it.
Well, in the beginning, Andrew was just going to be producing, and he was already doing at least 1 or 2 other podcasts.
I was doing 2 other podcasts.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't really need to be on a mic. I don't care.
No,
he's like, you 2 guys are old farts. You don't know what you're doing. So
Right.
I'll, plug in the wires for you. And,
Right.
and I thought he would be editing the thing too, since he's really good at that. But then he would always have a lot to add, and so he would just be talking kind of off mic.
Right.
And you could sometimes you can kind of hear it, sometimes you can't.
Kind of.
And then we started having people kind of post on Facebook,
I can't hear
hey,
you, dude.
Andrew needs a mic.
Yeah.
And then we had to talk Andrew into using a mic. He still was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, Andrew. You're like,
no,
no,
I remember.
no, you
I'll,
did not want
I'll
to.
be driving around, I'll listen to one of our old episodes, and I'll have it on level 10, volume 10, just listening to you and me talk. And then Andrew will come on, it sounds like he's in the bathroom back there talking. And I'll turn it to level 40. And then you and I start talking again, and it basically blows the speakers out.
There's a podcast that I listen to, and they used to be in this guy's apartment, and his roommate would always sit on the couch during the podcast, and that was like the signature of that podcast was like the roommate would chime in every now and then. You can't hear it at all. They'd be like, oh, and what was that?
Yeah.
And then you just hear, and then they would be like, oh yeah, and then they wouldn't repeat what he said at all. So you have no clue what he said. And they would just pick up with the conversation.
I think we pioneered that.
We got
they were
that
doing
one.
Oh, they were doing it
Yeah,
first?
years ago.
I never heard it.
We
but
did it quite well.
We did it well.
And by the way, you sounded like a Wookiee right there, just so you know. That
I did?
You had a little Wookiee speak,
Oh,
just so you know.
cool.
What does a Wookiee sound like? I
What
thought
he
that
just-
was Chewbacca.
Yeah. That was really
Andrew's always been a good Chewbacca.
That was
He's always
really-
done a real good Chewbacca. You're probably a little rusty now, but
Yeah, I'm rusty.
really
I haven't busted out Chewie in a while.
try it again.
I'll probably bust out the Wookiee for Life Day. It should be coming up here soon, right?
Oh my gosh, episode 9 is done. I just saw J.J. Abrams on an interview this morning. It's done.
It's done.
He put a wrap on it yesterday. I've actually got a date Sounds
What does any of this have to do with being a Texan?
Okay, sorry, reset. Thank you, Kevin.
Oh man, we
Thank you,
missed
Kevin.
Life Day.
Thank you, Kevin. So
Life Day was November 17th.
Wow, y'all are both slipping.
I don't even know what that is.
Life Day is it's a holiday in the Star Wars universe that the Wookiees celebrate.
Oh,
Did you ever watch the Star Wars holiday special?
No.
It's a train wreck, but that's where it was created.
Okay, that's fun. I'll have to go back and research that. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. So one of the, other than episode 1 being, in my mind, just a train wreck, there's 2 other things that are really funny, and they're Kevin intros. So if you look at kind of the one-timers, there is one time in the first 49 episodes where Kevin introduces the episode live, and there's one time in the first 49 episodes where Kevin introduces the episode via editing.
A recording that was done. I'm going to play that one right now.
Okay, go
And
for
it is cringy.
It is awesome.
Welcome to episode 3 of How to Be a Texan.
How to be a Texan.
This is Kevin Holder, joined by my friend Kyle Kirkpatrick.
I'm sitting in a room by myself trying to add this in after the fact. It was terrible.
You did fine. And the background on that was we did episode 2. That was for episode 3. Episode 2, I had this idea in my mind to push 2 topics together. And for some reason, it went for like an hour and a half. I mean, it was forever.
Right.
And
And
then
number 2 was Texans are the most friendliest people.
oh, yeah, we got into the Stanford and all that.
Yeah. And then also the 12 deadliest things about Texas. And for some reason in your mind, that was
it was a good
like
connection.
all one episode.
So stupid. Those are so diametrically opposed
yeah,
ideas.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
So I had to split those apart into 2 half-hour episodes, and then I recorded that horrible intro because we only have one intro.
It was great.
And I remember now, I thought about just duplicating the intro for number 2.
Uh-huh.
But I think in there you said this is episode number 2 or
yeah.
something like that.
No, I thought it would be a sweet and sour episode. That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah, sweet and sour.
is
Yes, that's right.
The dumbest idea ever.
Yeah, that was
Whatever.
not good.
I appreciate it.
It was not
I
good.
appreciate it. So anyway, so that was funny. So then, and then episode 1, Kevin basically brought us in because there was.
We just started recording and talking. And I added that music after the fact.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So all that muckety muck about are we recording? That was
Yeah.
just as soon as he pushed it, we started doing all that junk.
Okay.
And back then, I would just add the music in after the fact. So I just stuck the whole song in front, basically.
Yeah. So now we've got a real routine down. So I introduce it. I come up with whatever energy level I can come up with at the beginning, and hey, welcome to How to Be a Texan, or whatever. And the one that you're going to hear in the next episode is probably my favorite one. In episode 51, I can't wait for y'all to hear that one. Because
Spoiler alert.
the volume level is
I will say that I've learned a lot about compression, dynamics, EQing, just to try to control your intro. I mean,
Okay.
I've had to learn some technical, I'm serious.
I woke up the laugh track with that one.
Yes.
The
she
laugh
was-
track was back there sleeping. I mean, way, way far away. And I was so loud on Texas Rangers that I woke her up.
Yeah. She
you-
was not happy.
You showed me the.
And I had to edit that out, too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, because she was like standing here.
She was just glaring. She was
Like,
so
"What?
mad at us.
You woke me up.
Yeah. So we've gotten better with our intros, and they're fun now because Kevin gives me the double finger and
Double finger.
and he tells me when to come in because I can't get it right, and it's just fun. It's a hoot. So we didn't do that quite right today, but anyway, and the episodes are good. And then the other one timer that I thought was funny that we did is in 49 episodes we've only had one guest,
Yes.
and that's weird.
And even in the first episode, we talked about how we would
We're gonna have
occasionally have
guests.
guests. And
Now we had some guest speakers in Houston versus Dallas,
yeah,
and
that's a whole topic. Yeah.
so we had some of my buddies down in Houston talk about that. But regardless, We've only had one true guest, and we got to correct that.
And you know what's funny is the other day you're like, we should have Carlos on again.
We should have Carlos.
I know we should, but it's just like, he was our guest. We've had him. He's good. He's tried
amazing.
and true. We'll just have him again.
You know what? I went back and listened to that. It's like episode 20 or episode 30. I can't remember because I listened to 10, 20, 30, 40 just to kind of see our progress.
Man, I forgot Carlos was on an
Carlos
episode.
he nailed it because I did all this back research
What
on
was that
Mexico.
episode about?
It was
Oh,
Mexico,
like
Texas
Mexico and Texas,
relations.
Yeah.
And he nailed it. I mean, his overview of how Mexico came up, man, it was awesome. It was a great descriptor.
That's a good one. I'm trying to find the number here. Yeah, that's number 10. That was our number 10.
Yeah, and it was a good one because it was mainly Carlos. It wasn't me BSing, and you were just kind of facilitating thoughts out of Carlos. It was really good.
Yeah.
And he's a talker too.
Yeah, he did
You
great.
get him going, he'll keep talking.
So we definitely need to have him back on.
We need to have, but we've got all kinds of people we should get on.
But I think we've worked out a good kind of workflow now, right? Because in the early ones, I mean, nobody was really sure what we were doing, right?
No.
So we were both like overly prepared,
Yes, and
which turned into being boring,
terribly boring.
right? And really long. And then I would have to spend a lot of time editing because
Yeah.
Andrew bailed out on editing like before the thing even started.
It's like the 5th time you mentioned it. Do you
Yeah.
want me to start editing
No,
these
I
podcasts?
don't.
No.
No.
No,
Well, that's kind of my whole point here is eventually we kind of, and I can't remember, it might have been either the Houston one. I think Houston was kind of a breakout episode because that I think is the one where we started where I don't do a lot of the research because I do mostly the post-production. So you're doing more research.
Yeah.
I'm doing more post-production. And so then on these, it's kind of like you have your facts. Well,
Yeah.
a fact checker might not agree with that.
That's right.
But then I'm kind of responding a little bit ad hoc,
That's
and I'm
right.
looking things up, and it kind of creates a better dynamic. But
That's
the
right.
early ones were just,
Yeah, they were
boring
too,
boring as snot.
They were too much because you and I both researched, and then
Researched.
it was just like two professors going at it.
Yeah. So I
Now-
think Houston was a kind of a breakout where it was a little lighter and just kind of,
It
and I
was.
didn't know what those people had said,
Right.
and it was me kind of responding to that.
Wh-
That was a lot of fun.
That was fun, and they still hate you. Just
Yeah.
by the way, I'm kidding. They don't because of Kevin's
I
bias.
think I'm insane.
Dallas over Houston. That is. Crap. What was I just going to tell you? We do have a couple of themes that we're working. Actually, I'd say there's a third theme in there now too, and I'm going to surprise Andrew with one.
Actually, there's one thing I also forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry to kind of go
No,
back to that previous point. But also at one point we said, okay, one of the issues here is that these are so long and we're trying to chop them all down.
Yeah, to around 30 minutes.
Yeah, so we said, okay, if we're going to do 30 minutes, let's just do 30 minutes. And we had Andrew start timing it.
Yeah.
And that really kind of got us focused.
Yeah, so we didn't have too many more 52 minutes.
Right. And then those, now I hardly have to edit anything. I mean, if
which-
this was professional, I would, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's not our
nice.
style, right? And so I don't hardly have to take anything out of these.
So if you're listening and it's a 21-minuter, you know it was fairly weak.
Yeah, it was literally 21 minutes.
Because that's all
not
we got.
condensed,
And
yeah.
there's one or pardon me, there's one or two where I'm like, that's it, I'm done. And you're like, can we stretch it a little bit? And I'm like, no, I'm pretty much done with that topic.
So I start playing sound clips. And, hey, you got a ranch update?
That's right. That's right. But let's go back just to recap. Why did we start this? So Kevin and I started it with an idea at a football game. And then the idea is that we're proud to be Texans. And if you're coming to Texas or you live in Texas, well, why wouldn't we talk about fun things about Texas?
Yeah, we were at a football game,
Yeah.
and I remember I was very skeptical.
Right, you were.
I was like, well, why would anybody want to learn how to be a Texan? I mean, either they know how to do it or they don't.
That's
What are
right.
you going to do?
That's right.
But then, you kind of sold me on the idea. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
That's fun.
Because there's unlimited number of topics.
Yeah.
You're never going to run out of topics to talk about.
Yeah, and then I just had somebody at work today saying, do you ever get paid for that? I'm like, no. Are you ever going to get paid? No.
No.
Why do you do that? Because it's fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
And I've got buddies out there, and they actually get a kick. So they're driving along the road, and they're listening to us and mucking it up. And now I will say there's 2 or 3 of them that I've done, and I'm going to try not to do this again, where I've gone into full professor mode, and they're so boring.
Oh, I know. I snap you out of that now pretty good.
Yeah. And so, like, the 2 that I know of, when I did Lonesome Dove, that was full professor mode. And when I did Blue Zones, I think that was full professor mode.
Yeah.
Those 2. So if you wanted to skip those 2, it's fine. It's fine.
Lonesome Dove is a pretty popular one, actually.
Well, it's popular, but
Oh, you went into professor mode on infrastructure, and that's when I started looking up infrastructure jokes. I was Googling infrastructure jokes.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Had a few jokes.
Let me get to what I was trying to tell you. So there's really 4 themes for this. There's the random one of just whatever Kevin and I think of that's fun to talk about. Then there's the lifestyle one where we talk about, okay, these are lifestyle issues of how we live, work, and play in Texas together. And then there's the Texas Legends one. Did I just already say that? Texas Legends, like Ross Perot, the Von Erichs. We'll do one
George Strait.
We'll do one on
Carbonette.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We've already done a bunch of those, and there's a ton more that we'll do. And then there's the one on I'm trying to put Andrew to sleep.
Right.
and that's the first of that was infrastructure.
And Andrew may be hearing this for the first time. Actually.
This is actually.
I don't think he knows that this was a plot.
So I have.
It was a plot.
It is a plot.
This came up a few football games ago.
So Kevin and I generally will record 3 at once, and I try to get the third one in that third category of the put Andrew to sleep category.
Yeah.
Because by then Andrew's been here for a while. And at Texas Infrastructure was definitely the third recording
infrastructure
in a long day, and I knew it was the most boring one, and I think I got him.
Smoking trends.
I think there was a chance I might have dozed off. Like, and I was just kind of like.
When I started talking about that 332-page PDF budget for 2018.
Yes, that's so ridiculous.
Oh gosh, that is so much fun for me. But guess what? You get what you pay for, and you pay for nothing.
So smoking was one of those. Infrastructure was one of those. We had talked about weather patterns.
Soil types is coming up.
Soil types we've talked about. We did do
weather
Texas
patterns would actually be.
We
pretty
did Texas
interesting.
winters. That's what that turned out
winters
to be.
was one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the old men in Texas are like, oh, yeah, winters is good.
I think dog ownership was also another thing.
I actually was more
Yeah,
Kevin was like,
at first you were like, let's talk
dogs.
about puppies.
Yeah. So we've got some coming up like Oil Boom and others that are fun, just regular, but then you'll see, if you see about every 6th or 8th one that comes up and you're like, what? Soil types? That's one where I'm basically trying to put Andrew to sleep.
Yeah, don't tell me any of the other ones. To see if
out.
I want to see if it works. I'll probably know now just based on.
The jig is up.
Yeah. So anyway.
So what do you think our most popular episode ever was?
I'm still going to say the Deadliest Animals.
No, not even close.
Okay. What is it?
By far, the most popular is the Ross Perot.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
By far.
Man, how can you beat Ross Perot?
And there's this service called Chartable that I use. It kind of helps with the analytics and stuff.
Okay.
And at one point, that showed up, and it was this is so bizarre. It was the number 2 listened podcast in Greenland.
No. Yes, thank you, Greenland.
For like 6 weeks, it was number 2 on the charts, and we didn't even know till after the fact.
That's so great.
So apparently, we have a huge fan base.
Love you, Greenland.
Yeah,
shout out to Greenland. Shout out to Greenland. Awesome. We're kind of like Texans. I mean, Greenlanders and Texaners.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
I think they're probably a little more tough than we are, actually.
God, can you imagine how tough you'd have to be to live in Greenland?
No.
Jeez, you got some stuff.
Alaska. We have a lot of Alaska following, too.
Alaska?
I think that was because of your Ned story.
Ned. I still wanted to do a T-shirt. Where's Ned? And all you see is his right shoe and the backpack.
So recap that story so people don't have to go listen to that boring... I can't remember what episode that was in. I think it was the Deadliest.
That may have been Deadliest Animals.
Yeah.
So I was able to go as a young man right after college and grad school. I went with my sister to Alaska 3 summers in a row. And I just latched on because it was my brother-in-law's brother-in-law, basically, that I went with. And so Greg is his name. So I went there 3 summers in a row, and I went fishing with him. And so it was just me and Greg, and we'd go fishing for a week.
Was Ned with you? Or no?
Let's see. The third year, it was Ned. And so Greg flew me over to Ned's camp on the Kenai River, and we stayed a couple of days with Ned, and we fished for king salmon on the Kenai River. Awesome. If anybody ever gets a chance to go to the Kenai River in Alaska, those are the biggest king salmon in the world, and it was awesome. And I caught some, one of the coolest things I've ever done. And we're sitting around, and we're getting to be friends with Ned. Greg and Ned had been lifelong friends, and they hunted and fished together all the time. So anyway, 5 or 6 years later, I get a call, and it's my sister, and she's telling me that Greg's best friend Ned had just been found dead, eaten by a Kodiak grizzly bear. He was over there hunting on Kodiak Island, must have run across a mom or something in between mom and cubs or whatever. She ate him, and all they found was a backpack and his shoe. How terrible is that? So I wanted to have a T-shirt.
Well, that's what was so funny.
Where's Ned?
I thought it was this. I mean, it's a sad story, and then you ended it with that. All they found was a backpack and a shoe, and I just died laughing.
Oh gosh, that's a killer.
That's also the episode where I could not pronounce the word water moccasin.
That's the funniest thing ever.
We used to call it a water moccasin. Water moccasin. Well, water moccasin. I guess if you're fancy, but where I was from, it was just a water moccasin.
I could not.
So that's
that.
That's a condensed clip. I mean, it went for a minute on you talking about a water moccasin.
Yeah.
So great.
Now, is that the same episode where you talked about the giant gar fish or whatever it was?
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we get this clip from.
Dip it in pig blood and throw it out in the river.
Oh, wait. No, the full version of that is this.
Fray the end of a rope, dip it in pig blood, and throw it out in the river.
So you said that's how you catch one of those.
That's what you do. That's what you do. If you want to catch an alligator gar, that's what you do.
And then I think you ended it with
shout out to PETA. Yeah, I'm going to quit shouting out to PETA. I'm a Texan. I don't care. Yeah. So I think I was talking about, I don't even know. Oh, and I know. The shout out to PETA was around snakes. When I said my family motto is a good snake's a dead snake.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I'm shouting out. I'm going to quit shouting out. I don't care about PETA. Forget you PETA.
That's terrible, Kyle.
Forget you. If you live here or if you're coming here, just please know there are things that will kill you here. That's right.
That was a great line.
That's right.
That's not. I just like what's the technique you were using there? Use the word here.
I don't know.
Listen, it's just very.
If you live here or if you're coming here, just please know there are things that will kill you here. Oh, so 3 years. Okay, I didn't know.
It could be a song title.
I don't know. Let's make up a song to that.
Make it up.
Anyway. Okay, but regardless, the history of the first 50 episodes, I think we've just gotten better. Like you said, workflow, I think we've just gotten a better flow. Mm-hmm. Like you're looking to me to kind of keep the rhythm going. Mm-hmm. And then you're just piping in with all kinds of Kevinisms of awesomeness. And then every once in a while, random, from left field, Andrew comes in with a Chewbacca Wookiee story or something. And it's just awesome. So, and it's good. And then we've had the guests of the Holder family, like the laugh track. She comes and goes.
Yeah.
And we had a great episode on Drill Team with Sammy.
That
was fantastic. So, and we just, in Texas football, high school football, all the stuff around that, we'll probably have more on that in the future.
And just for people that don't know, so we record this in my breakfast nook area of my house.
Yeah.
Which is right by the kitchen. So half the time,
Kendra's
somebody's
cooking.
in there. It's either Kendra, somebody's cooking, clanking pans. There's one episode where I hadn't figured out how to use compression yet in the editing process very good.
Right.
And the way I was using it, it was actually just amplifying all the background sounds. So there's one episode where Kendra's frying some ground beef, but you can hear it sizzling all throughout. It's like we had a microphone over there, even though that's across on the other side of the
I do remember that
thing here.
Well, that was great.
And then we had on the dog ownership episode.
Oh yeah.
We had locked my dogs outside, and so they were standing there, and one of them was just consistently going, "Yep." Yep. It sounded like a little sound effect of a dog yuck being in the background.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then you made a note here about how some of the funnier ranch updates that we've had, and I've had some ranch updates that have been kind of off the track. and Ratnado was one.
The castration, I think, was the first.
The castration of the bull calves was episode 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I think you
No,
wanted
that's where it started, and then you gave several updates because in the first one you didn't know what to do.
I didn't know what to do.
And then
I thought it was a bull calf, and it turned out to be a little girl cow. That was the most embarrassing part, because I didn't even know what it was. It was a girl cow or a boy cow. That was the first most embarrassing. So it's not like I'm a seasoned cow guy.
No,
I'm still a newbie.
Really, that's a shocker. But then when you did find out how to castrate, it had some weird medieval thing with a rubber band.
Bands. Yeah, Patrick and Kathy helped me like grab it, pin it down, and they'd put this rubber band thing over the stuff.
And that was obviously the other. So you had 2 baby calves. One of them was a girl that you thought was a boy.
Yeah, and I tackled it to put the rubber bands on, and I'm like, it doesn't have any stuff. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. But whatever.
And then Ratnado was a good one.
Yeah, so the Ratnado, that was the one where Caroline locked me. She called me. She was out feeding the horses, and she's like, Dad, I was in the house, and the barn's, 100 yards from the house. And she called, and she's like, Dad, you got to get out of here. There's rats everywhere. And so I run out, and sure enough, I had her lock me into this little feed room. It's a little 6x6, little bitty room, and it was me and 5 rats in there. And it was a death match.
You were stomping them with your boots.
Yeah, got to put a boot to them. But your voices have been one of the highlights lately. In if you want to listen to the last 10 episodes, Kevin's voices have come on strong.
That was a random thing on the Perot episode. I had no idea of ever doing a Perot voice, and just out of the blue, I just did it on that episode.
The Ross Perot voice is fantastic, but the alien pops and whistles is by far my favorite.
So I have a clip of Ross Perot.
Sign me up. Sign me up. You want a little quote for your story? Is that what you want?
I'm telling you.
I'll do it.
It's good.
I don't have a clip of me doing the pops and whistles.
Well,
but
it was awesome.
This is what it's based on.
This is Earth's natural soundtrack. This is Earth's natural soundtrack. No, these are not alien sounds. In fact, this is Earth's natural soundtrack. Chirps and whistles.
That's what we got locked in on.
So that was on Weirdest Places. I don't know what episode that was.
Yeah, Weirdest Places. We were talking about the alien invasion in Aurora, Texas on that one, in the Weirdest Places, yeah.
And you kept going back to so we need
kind of
that.
Obsessed with that.
We need that one returned, because that's a darn good one.
Yeah.
And then we always have the fact checker in the background, which is, do you want to reveal who that is? Or have we revealed who that is?
I don't think we ever have.
I don't think so.
I don't even know who the fact.
You don't?
Checker is.
Boy, I do.
My dad.
It's Kevin's dad. He is all over this.
He hasn't been on it lately. I haven't gotten any.
Well,
maybe you've had all your facts right lately.
Well, I try to stay clean. I try to keep.
But now in the early days, I would get a text after every, like a list of things. These were incorrect.
Right. Well, I think we had like 5 on cattle trails.
Oh, at least.
And I think we're off cattle trails for a while.
Yeah.
And so, he was on us because he's like, well, that's not right.
I did get one after the Weirdest Places. I got a text from him.
Oh.
And it said, does Kyle know how to use a map?
What did I get wrong?
I think you described Marfa as being in the Panhandle or something.
Oh, that's right. I misspoke.
Yeah, you misspoke a couple times. And it was just, does Kyle know how to use a map?
Oh, my gosh. That's so great. It's in the little droopy part.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you call that?
I don't know. West Texas.
No, but it's west, but it's in the droopy part of the...
it's the gobbler.
It's the other handle. It's the short handle, right?
I don't know what it is.
I don't know either.
If I knew, I wouldn't have said panhandle. Sorry, fact checker. But it used to be just a bunch of Facebook like inserts.
Oh yeah, he would go after you on Facebook too.
He would. He'd be like, Kevin and Kyle, this.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh gosh, it's
That's
so
the
fun.
fact checker.
And then the evolution of the introductions.
Those have evolved to a very obnoxious level, though. We haven't quite explored that yet.
I'm most proud of my last one on Van Cliburn.
Oh, that was very...
Because it was classical music.
That was very
and we
laid
came
back.
in, and I wanted to treat it respectfully.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Let me play that in real quick.
All right. Hi, everybody. How are we doing? We're going to talk about some classical music today. See?
As opposed to screaming
Yeah,
so loud
screaming.
you're waking up people.
That's right.
in
So
other
wait
rooms.
for 51. Texas Rangers is my all-time greatest one ever, and it is a full scream.
You know what? One of the funniest things Andrew has ever said on this podcast,
No, he said a bunch of
and it goes back to what I said earlier from Jerry Seinfeld. At the end of that Van Cliburn episode, you're doing this bit where you're pretending like you're playing the piano.
Oh, no, that was great.
And just you're way back and you're like, I guess I'm just a natural. And just the way you said it, I just busted out laughing.
Oh my god! Well, I didn't know what you were doing because the three of us are sitting within 2 feet of each other, and then Andrew's like, "Oh, well, hold on, let me just go over and play." And then he starts whacking the mic, and I'm like, "What's he doing?" And then I got it.
Yeah.
My brain just doesn't operate that creatively. So, but that was great. So we've had so far. I mean, this has been so much fun.
It's been a lot of fun.
I've had a blast, and I hope y'all enjoy it too. And I really would love feedback. I've gotten feedback from friends that I work with or go to church with or wherever, and they just, like one young lady, she sent me probably 15 topics, and so
I think she was. We haven't really explored the Houston episode yet, and I think she was on that episode.
she was.
Right?
She was.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
She is so smart. I can't believe she wastes any time.
In Houston?
No, listen to this crap.
Oh. Waste time at Houston.
Yeah.
No, and she even says, she's like, I'm not in Houston, I'm in the Woodlands.
In the Woodlands,
which
yeah.
is way north.
Right.
So
tell the story of that episode.
Oh, the Houston Dallas one?
Yeah.
So somehow there came up, I don't know, in our research or whatever, just we noted that there's a bias between Houston and Dallas.
There's like a sibling rivalry.
Like twin brothers fighting.
Yeah, right.
And then Austin and San Antonio are like, Austin's like the little brother and San Antonio's like the idiot uncle or something. I don't know. That's not probably quite it. The drunk uncle. I don't know. It's probably the wrong analogy. But regardless, the rival brothers between Houston and Dallas came up. And so we just explored that. And then I was, my last job, I was down in Houston all the time at our home office in the Woodlands. And so I took kind of my mic with me and I interviewed a bunch of people, and Kevin put me on this terrible, terrible mission where he said, you can talk to him about whatever you want to, but ask him this question.
And I remember texting you this. I said, you have to ask it exactly like this. You cannot deviate.
And so I did. Sheepishly, I did. And these are friends of mine.
Yeah. And it was.
They got so pissed.
And it was the American Lung Association says that Houston is number 13, something like that. Number 13 of the most polluted cities in the United States.
Yeah.
And I said, then you have to ask exactly like this. Hey, Houston, why are y'all so nasty down here?
Let's ask it just like that.
And it was just so funny the way you were framing the question.
Yeah,
He was like, my buddy Kevin says I need to ask you,
why
are y'all so nasty down here?
And some of them rolled with it, like Dr. Buck just rolled with it, but some of my other buddies, like Daniel, he got mad. He got really upset.
Is he the one that accused me of being mentally unstable?
No, that was Dr. Middlebrook. He got
Middlebrook.
got upset with you. So,
Yeah. Well, one guy was like, well, what makes him think he's not?
that was Middlebrook. Yeah, no. So we had fun with it, but there is. I'm telling you, there is a rivalry between Dallas and Houston until you start talking about Texas in general, and then everybody bows up. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, we love our mentally challenged little brother down there.
Oh gosh, it's just not right.
Take care of him.
No. Houston's fantastic. So, but if y'all have other ideas, because we've got a list of 10 or 20 more, and it's just an evolving list, and it's basically stuff that we enjoy talking about. Mm-hmm. And so if it's a book report, then shame on me. Like Lonesome Dove. I just love that so much that I wanted to talk about it. But it was a sleeper.
There was a period where we were recording over at Andrew's place.
Yeah.
Right? So we took a break off in summer of 18.
A year?
No, that was just a few month break, and then we started recording in fall of 18.
Yeah, we thought we would do it
at
YouTube
Andrew's
channel,
place.
and
Yeah,
that didn't work out.
Yeah, that didn't work out.
Yeah,
that's where we did the Ross Perot episode and a couple other ones.
Chicken fried steak.
Yeah, and then we literally took a year. Not intentionally. It's just kind of like we were just both busy for a year.
Busy, being dads and workers and husbands and whatever else.
But your son Luke sent over a review that somebody had written, just talking about how much they, thought the podcast was great, and we're like, oh wow, somebody's listening.
It was funny because people were still listening and sitting out there in the internet ether, and they were still listening. To it.
People were writing, and they were like, oh well, let's get back on it.
Yeah, like the Von Erichs. Like this was a really good episode, and I really appreciate you guys talking about the Von Erich. I used to go wrestling. Man, it's great.
And then this one guy wrote, hey, I was doing a project on the 1900 Galveston hurricane.
That's right.
And this was a great resource.
That's right.
And we were like, oh my gosh, I hope you don't make an F on your paper.
I hope not either.
He hasn't responded back. But and I went back and listened to that, and it was actually
it was
really good.
So we said it, at the end of the day, we said this is not supposed to, it's certainly not political, it's not religious, but we also said at the beginning it's not educational, but it kind of is. Because generally we'll pick a topic, and I love exploring new topics. And so the 1900 hurricane, I had only worked for the sisters, the Catholic sisters down in Corpus back at the time, and I'd done a lot of work at Galveston. And I remember that story about those nuns, about them giving their lives and trying to protect those kids. And it was so inspiring that I wanted to learn more, so I read that book about it. And so, you read a lot about it too. And so I think there is an educational piece to it. Mm-hmm. We just, we're not professors.
We're not setting out to make like this a hardcore.
No, we're laughing at each other about how we say water mocks,
right? Or
for the most
smoke
part,
some cigarettes, have some chicken fried steak, and then drink some beer.
That's our goal.
That was one of the best intros ever. That was during an intro.
That
You're
was.
Like, hey, how you doing? Good. How you doing? I'm gonna smoke some cigarettes and have some chicken fried steak, drink some beer. I'm like, wow, man.
How can you think about anything else when you're talking about chicken fried steak?
That episode was about chicken fried steak.
Yeah,
which we released like a year later.
It was a year later, and I had to talk you into it. You're like, oh, that's crap.
Yeah, I had to go back and dust it off. That was during the period at Andrew's place, and we got the Ross Perot out of that.
Yeah,
we got motels. There was some funny stories in that motel.
Motels was good.
About you with your drunk softball.
Oh, God. And the pubic hairs?
Yes.
That's all I can remember. Just pubic hairs in a motel.
But then there was a really bizarre one out of there, and I couldn't even do any editing to fix that.
No.
And that was the Doomsday one.
Some of my ideas are terrible.
It was very...
I listened to that.
Bizarre.
And you'll never hear it. Listeners, all four of you, you'll never hear that one because it's crap.
That's the only one I've said. I don't think there's any way I can...
We just can't
repair this at all.
No, the rest of them are all out there.
It was just this weird combination of like, doomsday and prepping and environmental, and alien invasions and I don't even remember.
No,
there's also video of those.
There's video of those too. Yeah, yeah. I did compile a video of all these funny blooper intros.
Oh no, those
is
funny.
Really funny. I don't know what we'll ever do with it, but I'll send it to you, Andrew. You've seen it.
I wish we could release that because that's funny. It's a great intro of how to be a Texan.
The other big struggle on here has just been keeping you focused on Texas.
What?
Just
I think the Chicago fire is fantastic, and we should talk about that. It's meaningful to me.
Kyle will come up with a great idea for a topic, and then he's like, I think I can finagle this into something about Texas. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, Blue Zone.
Blue Zone.
Blue Zone
is
the
one case study.
Yeah. It's perfect because
like Texas is not even a blue zone.
We're not even close. We're not even close. No, we're chicken fried steak eating people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I agree. So I think the next 50, hopefully, again, y'all will give us great topics. We'll come up with great topics or the thought of the day, whatever.
So I did do some big data analytics here while we were talking.
Okay.
So I have some numbers on the show. Okay, so Number 1 by far is Ross Perot, right?
Let's hear a little Ross Perot.
Which is,
Let's hear your voice real quick.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
About your fat
Sign
aunt
me up.
in the basement.
You want a little quote for your story? Is that what you want? Any other questions?
I don't have the fat at in the basement
No,
part.
just let's
I need
give
to
it
pull
right
that
now.
out. I can't do it.
Extemporaneous. Come on.
Cannot do it.
Give me that alien voice.
But that by far is the most popular, which is cool because it was way after the thing started.
It was.
Because the others kind of have, accumulated downloads over time. So we're up. So the very first episode is actually number 2.
Again, thank you, Greenland.
Number 3 is George Strait.
George, how can you not love George? Mm-hmm. He just played this weekend at Fort Worth.
I know. I was
Isn't that
looking
great?
on StubHub to see if the tickets would
He had
cheap.
2 shows in Fort Worth, Friday night, Saturday night.
Yeah, at the new arena over there too.
Oh, the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, so good.
Number 4 was How to Speak Texan.
Yeah,
Number 5 was Lonesome Dove.
right.
Number 6, 12 Deadliest Things.
Yeah.
Number 7 was Von Erich's.
Oh, okay, good.
Number 8 is Texans Are the Most Friendliest People.
Yeah, that's fine.
We didn't even talk about this one.
I didn't like that one that much.
Number 9, The Deadly Events of June 8th, 2014, and the Dark Underbelly of Springtime Gardening in Texas. That's the title of that thing.
That's your title. The title I gave you was gardening.
No, but it was all based around your
June 8th. June 8th of 2014
with
will
the
go down.
Grasshoppers.
Still is one of the darkest days in history for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And that's when the grasshoppers came out and ate my garden.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
And I was spraying jalapeno juice all over it while you were out of town, remember?
At the beach.
Yeah. And it blew back in my face.
And you put another episode title of Kyle's Whitey Tidies.
That was a funny one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be my underwear as a pitcher in
And
baseball.
I can't remember what. Oh, that's right. It was the baseball story.
Because I was it was superstitious.
OCD, superstitions, and Kyle's tidy
Superstitions
whities,
in Texas because I was superstitious that I needed to wear the same pair of whitey tidies with 2 holes in the right butt cheek, and that's what I pitched in every game.
And that is number 10 on the top 10.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not kidding. Yeah. Most of those are up there because they were the early ones, so they've accumulated downloads.
Yeah.
But some of the later Ross Perot was a later one, and so it has really shot up there.
Yeah, well, it's a good one. It's a good one. We honored him, and I hope we do the same with some of the other great Texans.
Yeah.
We've got a ton of other Texans we need to talk about. I mean, all the presidents. There's a ton of presidents that have come from Texas.
Nuclear power plants.
Nuclear.
We talked about that in the.
We hadn't talked about
Texas.
W yet.
We got to do that.
W or his daddy.
Yeah, we could do an episode on Jimmy Ferris.
Yeah. Okay.
Me and one of my buddies were down at the local Texaco service station where we hung out.
Where we hung out.
Oh, no.
And it was raining down everywhere.
No.
Wait a minute.
He does show up occasionally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if somebody says something out of line, he'll say,
Wait a minute.
Wait a
You
minute.
can't do that.
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
He's got this big old long toe, and he grabbed.
That's the funniest thing.
That was a good story.
Yeah. So.
Well, hey,
anyway.
thank y'all for listening to us for 50 episodes. And again, if you want to listen from the beginning, just start at episode 2.
You know what, Kyle? We got a major problem with this.
What's that?
This is not our actually 50th episode because we skipped number 13.
Oh, yeah.
This is really 49.
I told you to go back and put the Halloween episode as 13.
It shows
But you never
up,
did.
It shows up as how does it show up? It does do that. Where's it at?
Whatever.
It shows up as
Well, we'll round up.
This was the most meta episode.
It shows
How to
up
be a
as
Texas.
number 29 or number 13 question mark. That's how it shows.
Yeah. Whatever. It's all good. Hey, we're close enough.
49. This is really 50 for us.
Round up. 50. Well, hey, thank y'all for listening, and we'll look forward to 50 more.
Anything from you, Andrew?
Nope.
Other than this is the most meta episode.
I don't even know what that means.
It means like
That's such a millennial thing to say.
We were talking about the show on the show.
I know. That's the brilliance of it.
That's what
very
meta-
We did a
Seinfeldian.
show about the show talking about multiple moments from many versions of the show.
Yeah.
And this is a podcast about nothing. It is kind of a Seinfeld.
See?
podcast thing.
See, there you go. Enjoy.
All right. Well, I really have enjoyed this. I love doing it every week.
That's fun.
Most weeks I love it. Some weeks it's kind of, like
Totally boring.
Yeah.
If it's one of the Andrew Sleeper episodes, you'll know what I'm doing.
But I do really appreciate you coming up with the idea. It's a lot of fun, and thanks, Andrew, for all your support. I just think this is really cool. I never thought we'd get this many episodes out there and have people actually listen to it.
No, it's fun. I love it. I think it's a blast.
So y'all find us on iTunes, Google Play for all you Android people out there. Look us up, write a review, leave us 5 stars. Adios.
Adios.